And I can't let them have my mind, no way. I was on some different shit, I went my own way. Told my mama wipe them tears, it's gonna be okay. Made it from the bottom to the top, now I can't see the hate. Why they talking on my life like I won't make it? I'm too busy counting cheese while I'm getting faded. I won't say a word and these niggas still gon' hate me. And I ain't going to no club unless they tryna pay me.
When you get your harness out the car, lay it out on the ground. I got my friend, what's your name, Skylar in it?
Yeah,
Skylar. Buddy Skylar, he about to, you know what I'm saying, teach us and tell us what we're supposed to do to trim these harnesses down.
First thing you want to do is definitely get all the limb wrap off. That shit's just gonna get in your way. So just go through and get all the tape and all the shit off. And then we can start disassembling it from there. Everything from the windshield wiper plug over, don't mess with it. Here over is when you start getting into your mess. Obviously, the only thing you need to keep from the original motor is the oil pressure sensor and the temperature sensor. Most of your LS harnesses will come with a new fuel pump relay, so you don't need this anymore. And most of all this stuff will all be gone. Most of your power wires you're gonna keep, but some of them you don't. There's only 2 wires here that you actually keep in this harness, and that's gonna be the red wire going to the passenger side and the big red wire going to the driver's side, along with this other big red wire going to the driver's side. Other than that, all this stuff can go. And this is all pretty much junk. So we're gonna get to cutting and then we'll get back at it.
Yeah. As you can see, it's gonna go from all of these wires to just
a couple.
Just literally this. So from this to that. So you don't need a lot of wires messing with these trucks.
On this, the white connector, any of these wires that are going back to the PCM, cut them directly away from the PCM connectors, because you're not gonna need them, because you're not gonna need that computer anymore. Any of them go into that, immediately cut it. This is just a power wire, or I don't know really what it does, but it went. These are injector wires, so you don't need those. Anything that goes to the computer, just get rid of them. Most stuff that goes over, actually everything that goes over top of the engine, other than your temperature sensor that we did end up finding.
Yeah, it's right here.
It was in this cluster of wires I have in my hands here, and this one was back here with the oil pressure sensor. I'm going ahead and throwing it up here. But you got the injectors, you got this isn't gonna go. This is for your AC. You're not gonna mess with it. And so is this other plug that was up there. You're gonna keep it also. That goes to the AC also. But the rest of this stuff, all of this, these twisted wires are your injectors. Don't need those. Any of these plugs over top, none of them. So I just like to grab a handful of them and cut them off. Throw them in the pot. Out of this oil pressure sensor, you're gonna have 3 wires in them. One of them's gonna go, actually both of them may go back, but one of them for sure goes to the fuel pump relay, and you're not gonna need it, so ID pin that, lose that. Pink wire, just a ignition wire. You don't need it either, so you just get rid of both of those. And then all you're left with is the tan wire, and that's your actual signal wire, and that's all you need. And then from there, all them wires that I just cut, obviously you gotta pull them all the way out to the connectors, to the PCM connectors. Same thing with the, this one wire, I think this may be a O2 sensor or something, but other than that, all of that can go. So this wire was connected here. It's a red wire, red with a white stripe. Then it went to the fuel pump relay. What it used to do was, you used to be able to turn the fuel pump on from the OBD1 port. And on my builds, I repurposed this wire and just run it to wherever you got your wires going, and given it constant 12 volts. And what I did is you just feed this constant 12 volts, you can just cut the OBD1 port off and then connect this into your OBD2 for your constant 12 volts. And we'll pick up later on the white connector on the other wires that you can use for the OBD1 in there. So now we're at the point where we've gotten everything out that went to controlling the motor. All of these wires that are cut all control things to the motor. This was PCM power, so we'll get rid of that when we open up the connector along with those other wires. So what we have left is all the wiring to and from the AC. You'll have a wire up here that was along with your power wires that went to your low pressure switch. This is to your AC. Then we have a wire out that fed the compressor and a ground that comes back that I cut from a split because it went to other things that wasn't needed. And then you'll have some trucks will have a high pressure switch that's along on the right near the compressor, at the back of the compressor or on the compressor line, and it'll have its ground. And this is what you need left out of coming from this the pass through for the AC. Then you'll have 2 wires, a power wire for the truck and 1 for HVAC for the blower motor. And then you'll have a slew of grounds. I think most of these will come out. It'll only be a single wire that'll come from the white plug. The rest of these, I believe, all go back to the PCM and they'll come out. Actually, I know for a fact because none of the other connectors have a ground. So 2 of these will come out and you'll just have 1 left. And then you'll have a gray wire that is for your windshield wipers that will go to the white plug that stays. And then the purple wire, that's your brake signal, or TCC, whatever you want to call it, that goes back to the ABS module. And you leave that unless you're removing your ABS. But other than that, that's what comes from right to left. Left to right, whatever. Passenger side to driver's side, out of this pass through. The rest of this stuff, your windshield wiper plug stays. Your coil wire stays because you will be using that for the switch power for your LS harness. Your green wire, that's your temperature sensor wire. And then this is that red wire I explained that went to the OBD1. This wire is an oil pressure wire, obviously, with the plug. Brown wire went to your alternator, so you'll just run that to your alternator on the L terminal. And then you'll have the power wire for the cab. It stays, obviously, and your starter wire. And that's all you'll need left. Oh, I missed a wire here. The gray wire, wherever it has gone, another gray wire is for your fuel pump. It goes to a fuse. You just cut it away from the fuse, and that's your fuel pump feed. And it goes down to the 2-pin plug there. And that's pretty much the cleaned up harness. There'll be a few grounds that need removed, and then we'll have to get into the pass-through, get all the wires out that went to the computer. And then we'll get back at it in a little bit. We got all of our wires situated. We explained everything about those. We're on to the bulkhead. Everybody asks how to get this open, how to get this open, how to get this open. This is the older style. This is the 88 to probably 89 or to 90, 91 maybe connector. The later one, the 91 to 94, it's a little bit different. It's just a little bit longer. It's almost exactly the same design, just a little bit longer, and it's got 2 bolts instead of 1. What you gotta do is you have to heat it up either with a heat gun or like a space heater, whatever. I mean, boiling water. I've heard all kinds of stuff, whatever. I've used a heat gun and a hair dryer. Obviously, heat gun works a lot better. I'm gonna use a hair dryer on this one, but you just gotta heat it up, and then you pull the 2 tabs back, you peel it backwards, and then you just gotta work it, and then pull all the wires that you don't need out. And then after that, you're pretty much wrapped up, and I'll explain a few more things, and then we'll be done with this strip down.
And you see when he peeled this is the cap that was on there.
Now we're gonna heat up the backside, get it off. There is there's a divider in here. It's got a single clip in the back. And this one, it's gray, and the a little bit newer ones, it's red. Obviously, it's irrelevant, but just gotta heat her up, get it peeled all off, and get your wires out of it. It takes a long time. Now we got the connector off. All the wires are out of the deal. Now it's just finishing it off, separating these wires out. Your connectors, they should just fall off without a problem. Looks like we have a wire that went to the computer for the AC, probably to recirculate. And then, like I mentioned earlier, 2 ground wires that went to the computer. We just get rid of those. Come back here. I guess I gotta cut my zip tie. These 2 ground wires. Make sure you got the right one so you don't cut them all. Well, there's only gonna be one left. That's the one that went. This last one goes to the. It goes to the white connector, which in turn, that white connector feeds it directly to the OBD1 port. And then you got a AC wire. This probably is just telling the computer that the AC is on. Get rid of that. And there's all your wires that went all to the engine side. Like I said, all of it is together. And the only wires that are cut at the computer were the ones that went to the white connectors, or white connector. The rest of them, anything that went to the computer, cut it out.
Can't say that enough.
Get rid of it. Okay, and then what you got left is, pretty sure this one, this one is your cab power. This one is for the HVAC. So this will be the power wire for the blower motor, and then these will be the 2 signal wires that go out to turn the AC compressor on, and then the high and low switches. And your white plug. You have some of these wires I'm going to remove because you're not going to need them. But this truck isn't it's a 90s model truck, so it doesn't have a tachometer. So he's not going to worry about that, obviously, in this situation. But if you did have a tach, there'd be a white wire right here. I'm pretty sure it would be right here. It would be a white wire, and that would be your tach wire that you would run to your LS computer. And anything after 02 needs a pull-up resistor. So this is the switch power. I believe I'd have to look at mine, but yeah, I think it was off of this one. And what I did was just cut it down shorter, and I would put the 1 resistor in line and just tee it back into the white wire, and then your tachometer works. Other than that, brown and white wire right here. This one will go to your MIL, your check engine light, to your LS harness. That's what that's for. And then I believe, if I remember right, this orange wire and this white wire, these 2 go directly to the OBD1. So these will be, if you're Gen 4, you'll use both of them for your data lines. If you're Gen 3, just pick one and use it for your data line. And then the ground obviously still goes out to a ground in the harness. This ground goes directly to the OBD1. So if you, like I mentioned earlier, if you use the one red and white wire, feed it constant 12, you'll have all the wires at the OBD1 port for OBD2. You just cut the OBD1 off, and wire it up as you would. And then you have all your wires there already. Some of the wires that are there you won't need anymore. Obviously the MIL also, not only does it go to the dash, but it also goes to the OBD1 port. You could just cut it away, tape it up, whatever. The rest of these wires that are all loose here you can just pull them out of the connector and be done with it. And that's a stripped down harness. Ain't much left. We're gonna clean it up and we'll show you when we're done here. So this is what is left after everything's said and done. On this side, we didn't mess with this connector at all, like we said before. The red one, obviously this one, didn't mess with it at all. White connector, as you recall earlier, there was all kinds of wires in here. All we got left now is the one wire to the windshield wipers, the one ground wire that goes to the OBD1, the brake switch / TCC. I cleaned some of this up. It comes in from the the ABS module into here. This one is the older model. It has the diode in here, or it has I think it's a resistor in here. Then it comes out, feeds this wire. This is actually the feed. This comes from your pedal. Comes in here, and it also splits off on this side and goes to this diode. This diode we're gonna feed back. This will be what actually goes to your PCM. And then back onto this, one wire, brown and white, goes to the MIL, check engine light, and then your two data lines if you're gonna use the original OBD1 port and convert it. The pass-through, got our wires back in here. We have the low pressure switch. You have the main cab feed. You have the main cab feed that goes to the passenger side. And then you have your HVAC power. You have your starter wire that is right near, because it's going to be right there near the starter. You have your temperature sensor wire. This is kind of long, but you'll have to cut it down. This will go to the passenger head in a modified sending unit. You have your AC wires uncut. You have your high pressure switch. Some trucks have these, some don't. The clutch plug, and then the ground for it. The oil pressure wire. Remove the two other wires that were in here. All you need is tan. This is the ground wire that's left. What's left, I've already obviously cleaned it up. I have 3 wires come out of it. One's for the fuel pump, one's for the windshield wipers, and one's for the ABS module. All ran to a single ground. And this other wire is the one that went back to the white plug. Here you have your fuel pump feed, goes to the 2-pin plug. This is what you'll run to your harness. This is the wire that you can send 12 volts to for the OBD1 plug. For that, the brown wire that's left goes to the alternator. It goes to the L terminal on the alternator, which will make the light still work. If your alternator burns out, it lets you know. And you have your switched power that used to go to the coil. Now this will feed your LS harness to give it the switch power it needs. Untouched. Obviously, like I said, everything over from his, untouched. Going to this connector, untouched. Fuel pump. This is his speed sensor. That is a full stripped down harness.
Yeah, you can't explain that any better. So if y'all don't understand that, then he said he's gonna start making harnesses here eventually. So I'll leave.
Maybe selling the stripped down harnesses like this.
Yeah. So if y'all don't want to do all that, just hit him and he'll get you situated.
And I can't let them have my mind, no way. I was on some different shit, I went my own way. Told my mama wipe them tears, it's gonna be okay. Made it from the bottom to the top, now I can't see the hate. Why they talking on my life like I won't make it? I'm too busy counting cheese while I'm getting faded. I won't say a word and these niggas still gon' hate me. And I ain't going to no club unless they tryna pay me.